But I want to ask you, Spurs fans, they have a lot to be disappointed on at the moment and in general with the club over the last few years. Ownership, they're really not happy with. We know this. And there's obviously a lot of heat directed at Thomas Frank. You're a Brentford fan. You were a Brentford fan before Thomas Frank came in for those 7 years. I want to ask you, knowing Tottenham and more importantly, knowing Frank, is Frank the right guy for Tottenham? Do you think he's a good enough manager for them to stick with?
It's really difficult. I remember just just going back to obviously Frank. I think whenever you say that the fact, sometimes for example, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. I think there was a moment where I can't remember who was against, but I remember Chelsea were, I think, West Ham, Chelsea West Ham last week. Where, obviously Chelsea went 2-0 down. They were booed off, and Liam Rossini was asked, look, what did you think of that? And he said, look, we deserved it. He didn't have a go at the fans or anything like that. I remember when I think they lost to Fulham at home back at the end of November, and I think there were boos in that game. He said, oh, they're not like real supporters and all that. I mean, look, they pay, I think that they've got the most expensive season tickets in the Premier League. These guys pay a lot of money to watch with, really turgid, unattractive football. Really, look, they're not demanding they win the Premier League or, the Champions League. They just want to see a team who, just play good football and, try and, do their best every game, right? They're not demanding, like too much, right? And I think that I mean, a lot, and from what I've seen particularly on social media, and I've spoken to, obviously one of my good friends who is a Tottenham fan. The impression he gave me was the fact that Frank hasn't really bought into it. Like he's not really, merged. Or not like for example, like what Klopp with the Liverpool fans, for example. He hasn't been embraced by the fans. And when you make comments like, they're not real fans and they've booed after what was a very poor performance against Fulham, and I think they've had others as well. Oh, a lot more others. You're never really going to be accepted. Now, and I remember Paul Merson said this on, I think it was on Soccer Saturday. I think a week after, the week after Frank made those comments, and he said that. And this is, by the way, this is a Chelsea supporting Arsenal legend saying this. So when he says this, like the word stick. He said that obviously how like loyal the fans are. They pay a lot of money. You've got adults and paying God knows how much to take their kids to football. They want to see like their team go out, be on the front foot, right? They don't want to see the sides, when you've got, with respect, when you've got teams like, I don't know, Fulham, Brentford come to your stadium, you don't want to be like playing on the back foot. You don't want to be playing, make sure you take the game to them, right? Go for, keep going. Okay, you go a goal up, go for the second goal. Don't sit back at 1-0. And that's my thing with Frank is and I think from just one thing I've seen in general is the fact that he's not at Brentford anymore. You can't afford to, be pragmatic in matches. You're at Tottenham, they demand, good football. Maybe not win every week, but at least, put in a good performance, go out with some pride. I've seen Tottenham teams in the past like lose matches and, not get booed off by their own supporters. I just think with Frank, he just needs to, I think he has been unlucky with injuries as well. I think losing Maddison in pre-season, I think 2 weeks before the start of the season.